Imagine mourning a loss that hasn't happened yet. The person you love is sitting right in front of you, breathing, speaking, but your mind is already grappling with the void they'll eventually leave behind. Psychologists call this anticipatory grief. The poet Kamala Das captures this exact isolating pain in her famous work, My Mother at 66. The setting for the poem isn't a hospital ward or a dramatic final farewell. It's entirely mundane, a routine Friday morning drive to the Cochin Airport in southern India. As they drive, Das casually glances over at the passenger seat. Her elderly mother has dozed off beside her, mouth slightly open in sleep. In that unguarded fraction of a second, the illusion of permanence shatters. Das notes that her mother's face looks ashen, like that of a corpse, a hyper-specific, brutal description that rips away the safety of the present moment. It's a quiet shock most of us eventually experience. That sudden, cold realization when you look closely at a parent, see the physical toll of their age for the first time, and realize the clock is ticking. When we look at how Das recorded this memory on the page, a brilliant structural choice emerges. Looking at the printed text, you can see how the first half is constructed. She abandons standard grammar. There are 0 periods, replaced by a relentless cascade of commas. By refusing to let the sentence end, Das forces the reader to consume her memory exactly as she experienced it, as a single, breathless, unpunctuated wave of rising panic. The textbook study notes confirm this specific technique. The structure is built to mimic a relentless, intrusive thought that simply will not let the author go. To truly grasp this poem, we have to look past the individual words and feel the inescapable momentum of a mind spiraling out of control in the passenger seat of a moving car. Confronted with the corpse-like vision of her mother, Das physically recoils. She snaps her head away from the passenger seat and stares out the window, frantically trying to break her morbid train of thought. Her eyes lock onto the passing scenery, and she zeroes in on the young trees sprinting by the glass. Immediately after, she fixates on the merry children spilling out of their homes, searching the roadside for any signs of life. The contrast is jarring. Inside the tight, claustrophobic cabin of the car sits stillness and the heavy reality of physical decay. Outside, everything is rushing, dynamic, and bursting with vibrant energy. Her mind is deploying a desperate psychological defense mechanism. She is actively trying to drown out the proximity of death by flooding her brain with the ultimate symbols of speed and youth. But the grammar itself tells us this distraction will fail. Because the poem is still trapped in that single, ongoing sentence, the momentum of her anxiety hasn't actually stopped. The drive ends. They reach the airport security check, a hard physical boundary that mandates their separation. Standing a few yards away, she is forced to look at her mother again. Das writes that her mother appeared wan, pale as a late winter's moon. A late winter's moon is a fading, hazy light that has lost its warmth. It signals the inevitable, creeping end of a season. The fleeting distraction of the sprinting trees and playing children evaporates. The anxiety, having merely been paused by looking out the window, crashes back down on Das with heavier, inescapable force. Here, nearing the very end of this exhausting, breathless run-on thought, Das finally puts a name to the terror welling up inside her. She identifies the feeling as that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. The timal panic of a toddler losing sight of their mother in a crowd hasn't disappeared. It has simply morphed and expanded over decades into an adult's dread of permanent mortal separation. Beneath the sophisticated, intellectualized grief of a grown woman anticipating a parent's eventual passing, there is really just a scared child who desperately doesn't want to be left alone. So, how do you handle that crushing psychological weight while standing in line at a noisy public airport terminal? Das falls back on the hollow, everyday platitude. The only words she actually speaks out loud to her mother are, "See you soon, Amma." Then comes her physical reaction. And all I did was smile and smile and smile. This mechanical repetition is a tragic mask. She is forcing her face into a state of calm to protect her mother from the tidal wave of panic we've witnessed. Das's brilliance lies in using a single, unpunctuated sentence to force us to endure the suffocating momentum of her grief right alongside her. She leaves us with an empty smile, suspended in silence, offering absolutely no closure.